That cost me a whopping What's going on today, guys? In this video we're doing a long overdue update on the Elantra GT because it has been gone for quite a long time, and some of that was my fault, unfortunately, but some of it was not. As you guys know, the hatch was rusting and needed repaired, and I also was going to have something else done to the car while I was at the body shop. So let's not waste any time and go ahead and get to the big update on the Elantra GT. Now, before I start this video, there's a huge milestone we just hit on the channel, and that is 3,000 subscribers. Now, that was actually about a week ago now or so, something like that. And I just want to give everyone a huge thanks for subscribing to the channel. I know I don't do that enough. I don't thank you guys enough for subscribing, but it definitely means a lot and helps the channel out tremendously. So hopefully we can keep growing. Remember to keep sharing these videos. It helps out a lot. And again, I just wanted to say thanks for subscribing. But anyways, on to the Elantra GT. I have my little list on my phone here, so don't forget to mention anything because there's quite a lot that's happened in the last month or so. Like I said, some of it was my fault. Some of it was just in the body shop for repair, mainly for that hatch and everything like that. But let's go ahead and start with that hatch repair that was done. Now again, the hatch was a warranty claim through the anti-perforation because, as you guys know, it was having quite the problem with rust. So they replaced the hatch. I believe it is an OEM part, but all of it is painted. It is now all glossy clear coat on the inside, which is great. Looks a ton better than the, I guess, dull paint, as you guys can see right here. But it is all fixed, which looks great. So much better than that bubbly rust. Remember, it was really bad on this side right there. But overall, I was pretty happy with the repair on the hatch. I'm not too fond of that sticker that's like not, you know, behind the plastic and hidden away. But anyways, that's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Now, while they're replacing the hatch, there's a nice gouge right there, which is, I guess, some of the damage I'll get along to in a minute after I mention the other big item I was having done at the body shop while I was there. But as you can see, the hatch looks great. Matches pretty well. I'd say just as well as the bumper, if not a little better actually. But now the hatch repair did remove the original glass from the old hatch onto this one, so they do just swap the glass over. It's not a new glass or anything like that. But as far as fitment goes, it's not the best, and I already went back and talked to them about it. They will be fixing the fitment, but you can see it's just very tight on this side overall. While I had the car at the body shop, I inquired about getting the front lip repainted as well as getting nut inserts put on the body kit so I can remove it for the winter time. So basically they're just bolts holding in the side skirts, front lip. There's still double-sided tape down here for the back pieces, but while they were doing that process of removing the old fasteners and riveting in the nut inserts, which are just threaded inserts, they basically damaged the passenger side pretty bad. They said they had to drill a couple new holes because the nut inserts were spinning in the holes while they were being bolted in. But I'm sure you guys can already see the problem areas on this side already. Basically, well, it's not only gouged right there on the edge, there's a couple more scratches back here, but basically they had to drill new holes, which in turn you guys can see. And they have other bits right here, and you can see the nut insert isn't even attached right there, but it is cracked. The paint on the side skirt. And up front there you can see there's a gap underneath the bottom of that fender where there never used to be a gap, nor is there on the other side. Basically they just did a terrible job on this side skirt, and again, I've already talked to them about it. They will be fixing it after I turn 21 because that ended up being a whole ordeal where I could not get a rental car because I'm not old enough yet. But again, like I said, I inquired about getting the front lip repainted in addition to that. And originally the price was too expensive for me to justify getting the front lip repainted. So I just told them to do the nut inserts. But to my surprise, I showed up and they actually went ahead and repainted the front lip anyways, even though I didn't get charged for it. Which was nice of them. I really appreciate that. But I just wish the side skirt and stuff wouldn't have been damaged because I'm going to be going back to get that done anyway. Now, one thing I've noticed in regards to paint while we're talking about it is my rear spoiler seems to be fading incredibly fast. I know this is a common issue on the Elantra GTs, mainly just along this part all the way down. And again, I think there's some on the outside. I know the sun just went in, so you might not be able to see it too well. But hopefully you guys get an idea of that. But I think the clear coat is fading pretty fast on the spoiler, which is unfortunate. And maybe if I want to pay a little bit, they can repaint it while they're going to be repainting that side skirt anyway. So I might talk to them about it and ask them and see what they'd quote me for it. But again, that's just another problem with the quality on the Elantra GT. Now, before I finish up on the hatch, there is one thing that's just gotten tremendously worse over the past month or so, and that is the rear tint on my hatch. Now, believe it or not, this is 4 years old now. Can't believe it already, but it is bubbling like crazy, and it's only getting worse. It's actually kind of affecting my rear vision in the mirror because it's so bubbling up, but that is going to have to be replaced. I do have a lifetime warranty on the tint, so that'll be fixed here whenever I get time to make an appointment and everything like that. But again, just another hassle to deal with. And that is one old crusty looking boat. Now, a couple additional items to mention. I did sell the strut tower bar on the Elantra GT just because it was ending up getting in the way of disconnecting the battery and just having access to the windshield wiper cowl and the coilover adjustments and everything like that. It was just getting in the way of things, and I really don't think it does a ton for performance or anything like that. So I ended up selling it. I appreciate the person who bought it because they ended up paying more than I wanted, which again, just goes to help out the channel and everything like that. So again, I really appreciate it. And I'm sure you know who you are, so thank you for purchasing the strut tower bar for more than I wanted. It really helps out the channel. And one other thing, I never officially showed you guys the wheels I bought from Japan through the importer. I kind of had a problem with that. I ended up making a video, filming one, but never releasing it just because it was kind of messy and didn't make a lot of sense. But essentially, I paid more than I wanted because of their fees and how they do the shipping with the container and everything like that. But I will go ahead and insert a clip of those right here. They are Volk Racing CE28 NFs, 17 by 7.5 plus 43 offset. So they are forged wheels, which again are my first forged set of wheels. Pretty excited about them because they are not only old and uncommon, but they are pretty valuable wheels. And even though mine are, I would say, C condition at best, they have some minor curb rash, and some of the clear coat is, I guess, sketchy in places. They are still worth quite a bit of money, being that spec, the 7.5 inch wide plus 43, which is the lowest offset in the bolt pattern that they made. So I think they're actually pretty valuable still, even with the condition they're in. But I was pretty excited to get those, and those will not be going on the car this season, but next season for sure, because I did end up selling the purple Sparko wheels I bought for 200 bucks. Earlier in the season, I sold them for 200 bucks, so basically I was only out the cost of mounting them because I didn't get charged for dismounting them. So basically I was out about $40 originally for the mount and balance. But so now on to the final major update, and that is the mod that I was attempting to do that ended up breaking the air conditioning system in this car. And that was the cooled seat conversion. If you guys are in the Facebook group, you know exactly what I was trying to do. Basically use the 2016 controller in my car, which has the heated and cooled seat function and is auto climate control and everything like that. Basically use that in the car, wire up the OEM cooled seats. Wow, that is just performance right there. Now, I had all the wiring diagrams, and I really appreciate the people who helped me secure those wiring diagrams, because without those I really wouldn't have been attempting this modification. But essentially I had all the wiring diagrams and the pinouts for the two controllers. Everything matched up except the, I think it's the EVC, the ECV positive and ground wires, which ended up just being reversed. There were two pins that just you needed swapped in theory for them to work, and I did that with the new controller, plugged it in. Everything basically worked except the air conditioning. So I switched the wires back, plugged in the old stock controller, and it still did not work. So something ended up breaking, and I'm still a little confused on how my stock controller ended up becoming broken, because I swapped the wires back to how they were, but maybe I didn't, and I'm just recalling that I did. But anyways, That ended up breaking the AC compressor. Everything else worked fine except the AC compressor wouldn't turn on. So basically I troubleshooted for a couple of days, asked some questions around, and still couldn't get it to work. The hatch replacement needed to be done at that time, so I took the car in for that, and it didn't have AC at that time. Then I scheduled an appointment for the repair and the oil change after my car got back from doing the hatch replacement, and basically it took at least 5 business days to figure out the issue. No fuses were blown, no anything appeared to be wrong. Nothing appeared to be wrong. So basically we ended up tracing it down to the control unit, but basically some solder on the back of one of those 2 pins that I was messing with ended up melting and breaking the connection on the circuit board to where, you know, when you press a button it wasn't actually sending the signal or anything like that. So once the solder was reconnected, everything just started working perfectly, and that's really all there was to it. But luckily the dealership worked with me a little bit on the repair, and they gave me 6 hours of labor at the lowest rate they could, so it came out to be right around $700, as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, which is a ton of money for a stupid mistake on my end. I shouldn't have really attempted the swap at all, but again, I like to make content for you guys, and I also like to, I guess, lead the way in terms of conversions, because as you guys know, I have the Veloster Turbo seats in this car, which I haven't seen anyone else do. Those work fine other than the passenger seat airbag sensor. So again, I was just trying to, I guess, pioneer modifications that are kind of like OEM swaps rather than true aftermarket mods, but again, it backfired on me, so basically I was out $700. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what it looks like right now. I haven't fully put the car back together yet, but here I took the 2 trim panels off, obviously, to get to the screws for the controller. Still haven't put those back on, but basically that's what it looks like behind the controller. Just these 2 screws, and clips on the bottom, and then clips on the top, and it pulls right out. But basically everything's fixed, and it ended up just being the 2 pins, or one of the 2 pins on the back of the unit that was the problem the entire time. And what makes this repair even worse is I bought a used controller listed in A condition on eBay from a salvage yard. Basically they sent it out and it had some chrome flaking around this knob. So right there, automatically, to me, it was not in A condition because some of that was just flaking off, and it was really dirty and looked like it almost had hints of being, you know, I don't know if it rained on necessarily, but just water getting on top of it. It just looked extra dirty. Well, while he was at the dealership trying to solve my problem, he ended up taking both the controllers apart, this one and the one I bought. Ended up finding that controller had water damage on the circuit board itself. So had he plugged that controller in to test out if it would have solved the issue, he could have blown some other things like fuses, or just basically hurt other wiring bits in the car had he plugged that in. So I'm glad he was able to check that out before plugging it in and finding it is really useless. Luckily I have already gotten the refund for that part and I get to keep it. So, but at least I do have like an extra housing, I guess you could say, for my car now, even though the electronics inside are really no good. But anyways, just give you guys a quick walk around the car here. Everything else is the same as usual. I know some of you guys might be new to the channel, so here's a quick walk around. I do have a full mod video if you guys are interested in that. I'll go ahead and leave a card up in the corner of the screen. There are some things that have changed from that video, mainly the wheels that I can name off the top of my head, as well as those grill inserts around the fog lights, and the Velocitech snorkel here underneath the grill that you may or may not be able to see real well. Those are mainly the things that have changed from that mod video, and I have videos on all 3 of those separately on the channel if you guys would like to check those out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave that like button. It really helps me out, especially because I need a little more revenue to cover that financial mistake I made of the cooled seat swap. But again, that's the name of the game when you start attempting these modifications. So that's my mistake, and I will not make it again. Also, be on the lookout for a Genesis G70 video coming soon, hopefully within the next week or so. It might be a little longer. Since I did just go back to school today, I have my first day of classes today, so I'm going to have to figure that out before I get into filming too many things. That will take up quite a bit of my time, so I'll be on the lookout for that hopefully within the next week or so, but again, I can't guarantee anything. But as usual, I will see you guys in the next video.